You're going to learn a lot of things along the way, but just learn what is important or learn as much as you want and then use what is important. Some things will not happen for you if you're not ready for them. Like there's some jobs you might not get if you don't know how to do it. You'll be surprised that the day you learn how to do certain things, one job will just come. Now, people say don't compare yourself with other people, but how do you know if you're growing if you cannot compare yourself with somebody else?
Depth of Field Podcast.
Most creative think they are one better camera or one better portfolio or even a viral post away from that success. But what if that is not what is holding you back? What if the biggest thing keeping you out of that rooms you want to be in has nothing to do with your creativity? Every day we see incredible, talented filmmakers, photographers, designers, struggling to get opportunities, while others who are not necessarily more talented keep getting bigger clients and keep getting into bigger rooms. So what is the difference? So in today's episode, we are talking about reputation, character, positioning, trust, personal branding, and why creativity alone won't build your career. You see, my guest today is somebody I have been admiring his work for so long. He's a photographer, visual artist, and creative director whose work has been, all over the place. He has worked with people from multinational brands to diplomats to public figure. And that is not even the interesting part. The interesting part is that a lot of his biggest work are not even on Instagram. I want to understand why. That was why I brought him to the show. Welcome to Depth of Field Podcast, and my guest for today is Iyke Beh. Welcome to the show, my brother. How you doing?
I'm very good. Thank you very much for having me.
Okay. So one of the biggest lie is that creatives are told that if you're talented enough, everything else will eventually fall in place. But the more I, stay for long in this industry, I realize that is not the case, that your talents get your steps to the door, but what keeps you inside is not really your talent. And the title of this podcast is around why creativity alone won't build your career. Do you agree with that statement?
So yes, but the yes is not a definite yes. It's one of those questions where you have to explain your yes. Mm-hmm. And for me, if you're starting out as a creator or whatever, you need creativity to start. Mm-hmm. Creativity is even more important when you're starting because that is what shows that you can actually do the work. Mm-hmm. But then that is not what will keep you. Mm-hmm. In fact, creativity will not make you a business. It's just make you an artist.
How you said creativity will not make you a business, it will make you an artist.
It's just make you an artist.
Okay.
Because that's what an artist is. An artist is a creative that can create. It is turning it into a business that now is the extra steps you need to take that will not just matter about your creativity. And that's what people that are not as creative as you have, because they don't have creativity, but they have the other elements that will create a business or that will turn you into a brand.
So if creativity is not enough, what then is missing?
What is missing from being just a creator to a brand or a business person is it's a ton of things, from discipline, from connections. When I make connections, I mean things like partnerships, things like finding yourselves in the right places, things like understanding structure, having a plan. Because you can't have a business or run a brand without a particular plan. You need to know your next goal. You need to have priorities. You need to have a niche. You need to have all of that put together to know, okay, this is the path for where I'm going to.
So in as much as you are putting your energy, your effort in making sure you're getting more creative by day, you're also trying as much as possible not to neglect the business side of it. Yeah. Can you kind of share that point in your career where you realized creativity is not enough? Were you forced to start taking your creativity as a business, your heart as a business, or you just knew right from start that it's a business?
So for me, I'm going to tell it as a story. I learned early enough that to differentiate what I do from what I am. So I learned it in 3 ways. I learned about Iyke Beh, the person, Iyke Beh, the brand, and Iyke Beh, the business. It means the person is is the person that starts. You're the creative, you're the talent, you're the artist, you're whatever. But then I also realized that I am also the brand. It means if I'm going to push whatever I think I'm starting to do, I need to position myself in a way that people can identify what I do with who I am. But I knew that was still not enough. But it means I need to turn it into a business if I wanted it to be profitable. That's where the business comes in. It means I had to attend seminars. I had to take business classes. I had to follow other photographers. I had to make calls. I had to learn from. I had to understand legal terms. I had to understand contracts. I had to understand pricing. I had to understand a ton of things that had nothing to do with the creativity, just so I could be able to sustain what I was doing as an artist.
Oh, so you knew from start that that is what you should do as a creator or as an artist, or was it along the way after being an artist for a while then you see, oh, I think there's a business side to this thing. I think I can approach my contract as an artist. I need to come as a business person. I think I can approach, my work as a business person. I need to enjoy the process as an artist. How was it like?
Oh, no, I knew along the way. It was obviously most people, especially if you are in quote self-taught. I mean, some of us did go to schools for it. Some of us learned on our own, but it was along the way because when you start any creative venture, it comes with passion. And passion, as much as it is exciting, but it blinds you in such a way that that's all you think about. You think about your craft. You're not thinking about what happens next. So it was along the way I realized, okay, what was the next step? Okay, I can do this. I have passion for something. But passion, I learned later was not, and thankfully it wasn't too late. I learned that it wasn't enough. And I was fortunate to have people around me who were already excelling in their businesses. And they were like, guy, you're good at this. So what are you going to do? I remember I had a friend then I wasn't shooting weddings at the time. And he said, if you want to make money in Nigeria as a photographer, you should shoot weddings. So I'm like, okay, what do I do? I'm already
As a business advice.
Yes. So you're in Nigeria, you do portraits already. And this was like maybe 2013 or so. 2013 to 2014. You're like, you need to shoot weddings, get more commercial with this. And I'm like, okay, how? And he's like, okay, follow me for this. I'll show you how it is, how to brand it, how to market it, where to print your photo books, how to have a timeline. Basically, I learned all of those things from him. Shout out AJK Money.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's how I learned. And then I met a couple other people along the way, plus my personal research, because I realized, look, I was making money from this, but I wasn't consistent. I remember back when I was charging 10,000 naira for portraits and I wasn't getting clients. That was in like 2012-ish.
That was still not bad.
It was a good fee, but I wasn't getting clients. And then I went for a creative life course, a surprise course. It was $300 then. And I came back after learning. I'm like, I'm going to increase my price. And then after learning, because I figured then I learned value. So I realized my value had increased based off of my knowledge as a creative, as an artist. But I knew that I needed to brand it properly. So I rebranded and my pricing increased. And I started getting more clients than when I was cheaper. So when I was charging 20K for portraits, I was getting more clients than when I was charging 10,000. And it's because I found my value and people now found it, because you have to see your value first before people see it.
Yeah.
So that's when I said, like, learning my particular brand, and I'm like, okay, this is the niche and how to put it together as a business. I think it was between 2013, 2014, I started the business properly.
Interesting. Looking at your career now, what is that thing you will say contributed to your success as a photographer that has nothing to do with photography? I know you've talked about, realizing your value, knowing that, okay, you're worth something. And it is when I was telling somebody yesterday, I say, when you believe that this thing is worth this price, it will be less difficult for other people to see.
True.
But if you don't believe, like that, I think that was another topic. Don't let us. So I want to know what contributed the most to your success in photography. When I'm talking about success, I mean you've been able to shoot with international brand, and public figures, and what have you. How are you able to get all of those gigs? It is not really about your work. It is not really about your crafts that brought all of that to you. Yeah.
I would say two things. One, integrity, and two, discipline. A ton of my work is through referrals. And if you're in the creative business, you understand that for you to be referred to somebody, it means somebody is vouching for you. And for somebody to vouch for you, it means they trust you enough to put their name on the line. So imagine I have people who have integrity, and then they said this person too has integrity. Like, they bank loan their integrity on my integrity. I've had jobs where I didn't need to show my work. In fact, anytime I get a DM and they say, I got your number from so and so person, but let me see your work, I just feel like that person didn't really get my number from somebody. Because if you referred me, you don't need to see my work. And most of the jobs I've done came through referrals. And then the discipline parts. A lot of my clients know that when I say time is the time is the time, I usually sometimes will let my clients pick the time, and then I'm like, we're strict with time. So I have contracts and all of that. And they respect me because of that. In fact, they keep to time. I have multiple gigs or multiple appointments and meetings where coming for this meeting, for example, I know the time is the time, but I would rather come earlier and I would call ahead of time if I'm going to. So because of those integrity and discipline, because I knew that, okay, those were things that people will take you seriously if you take yourself seriously. And I do this thing where I treat my business the same way a banker will treat his business, the same way a lawyer will treat their business. So if you will not disrespect somebody else in their business, do not disrespect me either. And I will make sure I made sure for myself that I put myself at a pedestal so that they would see, okay, this person respects his
You
craft.
put yourself first before they now see it. Not like people put you there, you now start seeing yourself.
Yeah, now let me give you one more story. There was a job I got from the most funniest of interactions. We were shooting at a place for a car brand. And I was just shooting there, minding my business with my crew. We're just doing our thing. And somebody had walked in. I didn't even notice her. I think she came to buy a car or something. And the next thing I knew, she sent her PA to come meet me and that she would like to see me. So I took a pause on my shoot. I went to go like greet, and then she was like, oh, how are you? I like what is going on there. That I don't know you, but you look very professional. I like the way there is no noise, people are not rowdy, people looked very good.
Interesting. She has not seen
She
your
had
work.
never seen me. We met there. She sent her PA. Then she asked me for my card. And thankfully, I had my cards with me. I gave her my card. She Googled me. And you know, the way now it is when you Google somebody, Google AI has already done a summary. Then I think I had a Wikipedia page.
Okay.
She looked, and then my website was live then. So she checked. That day I got a job to shoot her husband, do like a portrait. And she didn't need to see my work. She just saw work ethic.
How you work.
And she's like, no, I want to work with this person just by seeing the way I was working. Because I think from her perception of photographers, they dress anyhow. There's always noise. They're breaking things. But she came and saw like, we had walkie-talkies. We had like jackets. My crew had like jackets. There was a proper branding going on.
There was structure.
She didn't know that we borrowed all the gear to shoot that event or that gig, but it was proper. There was no noise. We were shooting and we're just doing things well. I was climbing a ladder. So I was directing and showed me camera. She was impressed by just the branding, the packaging. And that's how I got a job through her. And I think I got a couple referrals through her as well.
I mean, the way you also present yourself is very important because that's the first impression. That was a first impression of you. And like you said, she didn't know that you probably borrowed most of the things you were using. And all she could see is a professional photographer doing his job respectfully without, chaos. I think that is very, very important. Okay, how much of time do you think can be too much wasting of time that you see creatives or maybe you in the past have spent focusing on your craft and neglecting the business side of your arts? Hey, can I borrow just 1 minute of your time? This episode is sponsored by me. My name is Samuel Ojo, and until bigger brands start paying for this podcast, I'll be sponsoring it myself. Over the years, one of the questions I've get asked the most is, Sam, how do I get my videos to look like this? How do I get my colors to come out so clean? And the truth is that you don't have to spend years figuring it out like I did. If you're trying to become a better filmmaker, cinematographer, content creator, I have a training session where I teach everything I know from shooting, lighting, camera setting, storytelling, editing, and color grading. You can scan the QR code on the screen to register for any of my training session. And if you're already shooting in log and you want to take your footage from this to this, I have created my own cinematic color grade. These are the exact cinematic color grade I use for my own workflow to achieve the consistent colors like what you're seeing now. You can get them by scanning the QR code on the screen or through the link in the description. Now let's get back to the conversation.
For me, I think I spent too much time in the beginning of my career focusing on craft because I had a lot of influences, international influences, like abroad influences, that you know how you see some certain kind of people and their work is like, you don't think you will ever get there. So you have to keep learning. At the point I'm like, I know a lot of things. I've been able to teach people stuff that I've never practiced before. And then I realized I know all of these things and I don't even need the knowledge. I remember the first time I taught somebody to use Capture One, I was using Lightroom, but I could teach how to use Capture One because I learned it, but I just never used the app. And then I'm like, wait, I could use this thing, so, but I'm just learning stuff. Okay, what is stopping me from taking a pulse on trying to just gather all the knowledge in the world and actually execute them? So that's why I took a break from doing plenty creative shoots. I'm like, okay, let me put that into clients. Because I remember the essence of having like test shoots, creative shoots, is so you can apply them in real world situations. In fact, right now, there are people that will not respect your portfolio if most of your portfolio were from test shoots, especially from all these workshops. Because like in the US now, they do a lot of portfolio building workshops where you go there and you do like multiple shoots and then you have like maybe 30 images of refined images, but those were not real life situations. Because when the client comes to hire you thinking they'll get that quality, you're not getting that quality. But the idea of that is so you can practice before your real client. I know a photographer, a prominent photographer in Nigeria, where if the person wants to shoot, what the person does is they get a model. Let's say they want to shoot like a celebrity. They'll first get a model, dress the model in the same outfits, do the exact same light setup, the exact same set, do the shoots. And the model never gets the pictures because it's for a test shoot. But he practices, and then when the shoot actually comes out, you see it's the client that was there. And I know because I knew a lot of people in the industry, like from the models, the set designers, and I see the BTSs or when they did the sets with the original model. And then the picture comes out, I'm like, that's Genevieve, but that's not the person I saw.
Yes.
Then you now realize they practice properly before you applying it. So I'm like, what's the point of having so much creativity without applying it in real? Because it's in real world that it actually matters. So I'm like, okay, take a break on gathering knowledge. You won't stop, but focus more on the craft itself in making it a brand. Because there's no point in knowing everything and not people not knowing that you know everything if you are not using it properly in where it should be used.
There was something you said that stayed with me. You said your integrity and work ethic speak for you, in rooms and where you're not present too. And I think that is one of the most powerful things I've heard from a creative, honestly, especially the ones that we've invited to the show. But I want you to expatiate on that. What do you really mean by that? How important is your ethics? How important is your ethics? How important is integrity? Because some artists feel like, they can be rude as long as I'm good. I mean, I don't have been on a set that an artist was using the F word for the clients because it was like, he believes the reason you called me is because of my craft. So whatever I do, you have to take it. You can't tell me I'm late. You can't tell me I'm this. You can't. Forgetting that, this guy paid you. He's actually paying you to do what you do. Fine, you have the craft, but if you can convert the craft into money without anybody, then that is when you can have this pride. But you need people to survive. So I want you to really expatiate on that ethics and, how to, the emotional intelligence around business of arts and photography.
So as a creative, as a photographer, my approach to business is I'm a service provider. It means I am providing service. It means I am serving. If you're serving somebody, you cannot be bigger than who you're serving. Whether it's the president you're photographing or somebody's security man, you are serving them. So having that in mind, you know that you're serving. It means you're working for them. So take away your pride, take away your...
You're rendering a service.
Yes.
So if you're rendering a service, that means you're serving that person.
Yes.
And if you're serving that person, that means you're working for them.
Exactly. So once have that mentality that you're serving the person you're working for, you put them on top. They have a priority. It means whatever you're doing is to make them happy because that's what sells you. I've had interactions with people where I can go to, like I remember back then, I can go to places where the security will let me in because I've greeted him before. And then it's easier to meet the next person, the next person, the next person. And people remember you not because of the work you eventually did, but because how you smiled and greeted them before you entered the building, and so on and so forth. And for the part of reputation, I have another funny story there. One time, this guy went to Lagos and told people he was my cousin just so he could get a job. That is how much my name was good enough to get somebody a job. I mean, I had to tell them, I don't know this guy. I mean, I knew him, but we're not related. Like, we're not cousins. Like, it's that bad. Like, somebody could lie,
Because
like,
it knows, like, if I
it's
tell
associated
them,
to this
yeah,
person. Yes, that's how much people respected that. Okay, if it's coming from this person, it must be good. And I've been able to gain that because yes, we will not always have good jobs. Some jobs will turn bad, but it's how you can maximize the opportunity to maybe apologize if it was your fault. If it was not your fault, find a way to turn it around. If you do a shoot and your client don't like the images, how do you get back from that? Do you tell the client, well, to hell with you? You know, if you don't like it, somebody else will like it. Or do you tell the client, I apologize for this situation. It's maybe nobody's fault, but how do we turn it around? Do you look at every opportunity as an opportunity to make money or an opportunity to make a connection? Most of my clients will remember how, for like portraits, for example, I will send you a checklist. Send me your playlist. What are you into? Do you like too many people at your shoot? Do you want somebody to help you posing? I have all of those things, and for free of charge. When they come into the studio, and first of all, I remember a client that first thing she remembered was how the air freshener the studio was smelling. She came on like this. You could hear. She didn't say this place smells nice, but you could tell she was inhaling. And she's like, "This is a nice place," and I know it's the air freshener. Just put a diffuser there, and then the small soft jazz was playing. There's this welcoming thing that comes in even before the shoot starts. They're already in a frame of mind. And that is just that thing around before your craft even starts showing. You've already created something, an ambience, they are welcoming. Then you sit there and you have a conversation with your clients. They are human beings like you. I remember I tell some of my photographer friends that sometimes I can't afford myself. So respect these people that are willing to pull out their funds to pay you. Like, it's a service.
respect your clients.
One of my best clients, who is also one of my best friends now, shout out to Anna. How I met her was funny because it was also through referral. Somebody was trying to refer me to her, but I wasn't available at the time, so I missed the window to shoot with her brand. And when I missed the window to shoot with her brand, and I eventually met her, and I said, "I know you shot with your brand, but let me shoot. Let me do the shoot again." She's like, "I've shot." I'm like, "I know. Let me shoot it again. I'm not charging you. Let me shoot it again." She's like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, "Yes." She showed up to the shoot. Like, she was surprised and impressed at the same time that she showed up to the shoot. She provided everything for the shoot. She didn't want to let me pay for anything I was going to pay for. And I've been shooting her brand for the next like 10 years now or thereabouts.
Interesting.
And we're now friends. I visit her house, I know her husband, like I know her family. We're cool like that now because we created a relationship after that.
You were focused on relationship, not just to make money now.
Yeah.
You were focused
just
on
to make
building your brand. You were focused on how do you get this connection of people that love your heart, not just how do you get money from people with your heart. Interesting. What is the most kind of feedback you've gotten the most from clients? Is it always about your art or about how you treated them?
I think one of my favorite compliments is when somebody said he was a human being. Because I've done a lot of portraits for people that will say this is their first time in front of the camera, or people that have had bad experiences trying to do a photo shoot. I remember a client I shot, she said we finished and she didn't know that we did a photo shoot. I'm sure, like, because it was mostly conversation. Because because especially photography is a very intimate art. It means you cannot photograph a stranger. You've heard phrases about the best person to photograph you is your lover. So you kind of there's this photographer mentor I have. He says you need to flirt with your clients or flirt with your subjects. And not necessarily like romantically, but let them know that you can see them. Most of my portraits, one of the key features of most of my portraits, or one of the key elements of most of my portraits is how there's this intensity, especially when you look at my portrait, the eyes, it's almost like they're looking at you.
Yes.
For you to get that reaction, it's not just point and snap.
It's not just like, can you post?
Yeah, you need to have a connection with your client in such a way that they can look at you and you can see, for lack of better words, their soul through their eyes and then get that image that you're trying to get. So it comes from having a human connection with them. And it can only happen when you put yourself in a shoe that is relatable.
So how do one now become somebody can confidently recommend? Like, if I was a beginner, I'm a young photographer, and I want to become that person that people recommend or people love to work with, what would you say I should work on?
Being reliable. And I can use an example for that. If I was starting again from scratch, or let me scratch that. what I'll say is being reliable. And this is why, for a kind of work, you need people to vouch for you as much as you want your work to vouch for you. The entire goal is for your work to speak for you. So that when people see your work, they can identify your work and say, we want this person. Yes, you think what they want is not the person. What they want is the work. But in reality, what they want is the person. And you need them to want you, because if they want only what you're selling, by the time somebody else can sell what you're selling, they don't need you again. And I say this thing, there are a lot of really good photographers. I remember I used to stay somewhere in Abuja here, and in that estate, I knew like 10 photographers in that lived in that estate, and they were all good. And they were all like proper artists. And I'm like, what is your difference? The difference is not the work now, it's you. And the difference is not even how good your skill is, it's just you. Like, it has nothing to do with your work anymore, it's you. I've gotten a job because somebody just said, this guy looks like an artist. Literally. Maybe it was my hair. Maybe it was what I wore. But he just looked at me like, are you an artist? You look like an artist. Come have work. Which part of art do you do? He didn't even know what kind of art. He just felt if this person is an artist, he assumed, okay, visual art, he needs something on his wall. I'm like, what do you want? Photography? Do you want a drawing? Do you want a sketch? Do you want me to do a fine art painting for you? A fine art photography?
Do all of that.
I do all of that. So I'm like,
so why do you not focus on photography?
So there's a long story. You know how superheroes have like origin stories? I have one of those. And one of those, let me quickly say, one of those stories is growing up till maybe university, I had like maybe 5 pictures of my entire life. I have like 1 picture as a baby, 1 picture when I was like 10, 1 picture like that. Like, I didn't have a lot of images. And I used to be really fascinated by colors and lights. I used to be really fascinated by colors and lights. And when I started watching movies from being a child, I loved the cinematography of movies. I didn't even know it was called cinematography. I just loved seeing stories. I love seeing landscape. I didn't even know it was called composition then, but just the framing. I liked that picture I was seeing, and I wanted to be able to do that. So I'm like, when I get the time or when I get the chance, I will study film. And when I eventually got the chance, film was expensive to actually do. I'm like, photography is better.
Yeah.
And then of course I love pictures. I love to be able to create something. And I liked human connection. It means I would prefer to, if I'm going to shoot like a landscape, I'd rather put a person to stand there. Yes, a picture of a tree is nice, but let somebody stand next to the tree. So I realized that I was drawn more to portraits of people. So yes, I could do a little digital art. I could, in fact, some of my personal work now that I'm diving into doing mixed media, where I will photograph somebody and then I add digital art to it. And then maybe I print it out and I will paint on the frame itself, on the canvas itself, just so you can have all that multi-dimensional texture.
Yeah.
But I knew that I was more drawn to portraits of people. And I'm like, I want to be known firstly as a portrait photographer, then generally as an artist, then I
think it's so evident in your work. It's so visible. It's so visible that you understand art. When I look at your pictures, one of the things that sometimes I look at your photography pictures and it looks like painting, and I'm like, and I've never seen your picture that doesn't speak. Like, all of your pictures speak. They tell a story. Like you said, there's something about the eyes of the subject that just looks at you and it's like it's trying to communicate something. And if you pay attention enough, if you stay long enough, you're just going to get what the person is trying to say. And I think I love that about your work.
Thank you.
So I think in this industry, we don't talk enough about soft skills. We don't talk enough about soft skills. Everybody wants to know which camera to buy. Everybody wants to know which editing software is the best. Everybody wants to know, okay, what's the best retouching, skill I should have. Only very few people ask, how do somebody become someone clients can trust? So the question I want to ask now is, how important is, I know we've talked about, the charisma and how people just love your ethics. How important is character as a photographer? How important is it in your line of work?
Well, character is almost everything, because character is what defines everything else that has to do with ethics, reputation. Because when people are describing your reputation or describing, your work ethics, they're basically talking about your character. They're saying this is who this person appeared to be. Because sometimes there's who you are and who you appear to be. And we do this thing, yes, and we do this thing where we do where we say, this is who I am, I don't care about what people say about me. But that's not the point. Who you are is not who you think you are. Who you are is who you appear to be. So you might be a good person in real life or in your mind or in your family. But if you appear as a certain thing, I don't know, I'm a Christian, so I usually we use a Bible analogy. Jesus said, who do they say that I am? Because it's not about who you think or who your disciples think you are. You need to know who people say that you are. And when the answer came, it wasn't far from the truth. They say you're the prophet, you're Elijah, you're this. It was in line with his calling. So if they had randomly say you are a thief, there would have been a problem. Or you're a noise maker. You get, but you can get that most of the answers were in line with his actual calling. They were not necessarily wrong, but they were closer to being true. So you kind of, your character is who you appear to be, is who people see. So if you have good character, it will show in how you relate to people. It will show in your work ethic. You might not even be the best skillful person, but because you have character, you just notice people just like you because they come to you and they know that you do a good job, you treat them properly because of character.
We know character is important.
Yeah.
But can bad character destroy an incredible career?
Yes. Let me say, it's the same thing I said. There's almost nothing anybody can do that somebody else can do it. So if everybody is good and you are also good.
You are also good.
Yes, because I promise you, this is the best photographer. You get? So like if everybody is good and you're equally good, and then you now have bad character. So what makes you better than the next person that has good character and you guys compare in skill? Because they rather come to the person with a better character that can do the work as equally as good as you. Unless you've somehow, you've trained here, then maybe go to one village, in Iyke Beh, that nobody has your kind of skill. And maybe your bad character, but it's there, but hey, maybe they will just manage you.
Choice.
But
the moment somebody that can do what you can do comes.
You get, so imagine relying only on your skill. That is poor. Like imagine relying only on your skill for your sustenance or for your brand. Like it's not going to be sustainable. Last, people will get tired. And as photographers, but we do this thing where we have this larger than life ego, where we think we're like the boss, the pictures are the most important thing in these, your events, blah, blah, blah. Without the pictures, no memories. I've been to a wedding where there was no photography and the marriage is still lasting.
Right.
They took selfies and they were fine. They didn't want a crowd. They wanted...
What about people that even had photographer, but they lost all the footage?
Exactly. You get... Like, it happens. We do this thing where because we feel, yes, our work is really important. Archiving is really important. But we're not as important as the people we're archiving. We're not as important as the people we're documenting. So that's where your character comes into place. That's where your humility comes into place. That's where you know that you're doing a service. I'm doing a service not just for my client, but for humanity. I'm documenting. Imagine one of my packages is customer for life. I'm putting it out there so that anybody can copy or emulate it. Where if you pick a certain package of mine for maybe portraits or weddings or events, I'm your photographer for the next 5 years and you get one free portrait for the next 5 years. What thousands, hundreds of thousands that you're going to get for free. So imagine having that for them. They know that this person is now their family photographer. So imagine you're documenting and they say, okay, maybe you just be documenting our child or anniversary. You're archiving for history, literal history. So you can imagine having bad character. They will forfeit it. They're like, we'd rather not see you. So it helps not just necessarily, like I said also in the beginning, since most of my work comes from referrals, and some of the best work as a creative you will get is referrals. Imagine not having proper character. You will miss out on what, I hate to use this term, you will leave money on the table. You will miss out on a lot of gigs, a lot of things that will take you around the world. They say, when you say a man will be diligent in his work that will stand before kings, it's not your work that is standing. That's not really your work. Your work is what will put you there. But what actually takes you is your referral. Because the king is not going to be on Instagram to see your work. But somebody will say this guy is good. Yes, your work brought them to say this guy is good, but your work is not what will take you there. It's your reputation. It's like, this guy is good. Let us bring him before king because he will not shame us. So that's what will take you far. That's what will push your business to the next level and to the next level.
Interesting. I know this is going to be a very, very hard pill for a lot of, because in this industry, they can be very, very proud artists. We are proud. I've met a lot of proud photographers. I've met a lot of, proud videographers. Some people call it ego, and that is because they know their worth. But like you said, in this new era where we have cameras that can shoot, amazing videos, the knowledge gap is not so much again. So what makes you different from the other person is how you treat people. The memory of you that your clients have is more important than the work you delivered. Not to say your work is not important, but it's just more important. So I want you to talk about one more skill. What is one more soft skill you think a lot of photographers and videographers or artists, creatives are not paying attention to and they need to start paying attention to?
I would say communication and etiquette. Communication is in three ways. One is in your actual speaking. Then communication is in how you communicate in terms of contracts, in terms of learning documentations, in terms of when somebody calls you, how much is so and so, you tell them, okay, can you send me a brief? Basically, how you respond. Because it's one thing people should, artists or creators should actually learn, or I believe that it would give you an edge than just being just your skill, because once you learn communication, you learn how to approach, you learn how to pitch, because there are some jobs you would be the one to have to pitch. If you do not know the right words to say, you won't enter the door. If you do not know how to research, how to say, okay, I want to shoot for this company, but who is the HR? How to Google the email address of the HR of this company, or the marketing department, or the media department, how to figure out these kind of things. You will just be good with your skill and you're missing out on plenty things. So it's communication, then etiquette, how to dress, how to smell nice, know how to behave in the right place, when to be loud, when to be quiet, like simple basic etiquette that you assume a regular adult will know. Imagine being, say, a creator, and then you come to a place and they're going to be a dinner, and if there's a dress code that you're there for, and you first don't wear the dress code, then maybe they're eating and they're using knives and cutlery, and you don't know which is a salad fork, or like you need to learn. You'll be surprised it has happened a lot. I have a bad experience where I put ice in wine. I know it was terrible. I was screamed at a long time ago. But you can imagine not knowing etiquette, and you'll be surprised that some things but will not happen for you if you're not ready for them. Like there's some jobs you might not get if you don't know how to do it. You'll be surprised that the day you learn how to do certain things, one job will just come.
So if you don't learn how to be around certain people, you might not get the opportunity to work with that particular people.
Yeah. Somehow it will just not happen.
I realize sometimes a lot of clients, I was telling somebody which day, I said, clients don't want you to be the first person of that kind you're working with. A extremely wealthy person does not want to bring you in if they know you've never worked with an extremely wealthy person before. A politician does not want you to come work with them if you don't know how it works working with them, because they don't want to go through that stress of teaching you how to behave around here. They will just prefer somebody that's
Grounded.
if you're working with some NGOs now, they will tell you how many NGOs have you worked with. If you're working with some politicians, they'll say how many. They want to know how many politicians you photograph. So, and all of that, what can help you build that is learning. Okay, I want to go into this room, like you said, you're going for an international kind of dinner. How am I supposed to dress? Because a lot of videographers, photographers will still wear their regular round neck, just show up with their boots, with their sneakers, and just because I'm a videographer now, they don't understand. You want to blend in. You want people to feel comfortable. You don't want them to be like, who is this person that is, they want to feel like, okay, it's just somebody like them that is putting camera to their face, somebody that understand how it works here. You're not looking so different, even though you're wearing black, but you still, the purpose of wearing black is to be invisible, right?
True.
But now you're wearing black, but you're still very visible. They can point you out because you're so odd in the equation and all of that. So I understand what you're saying. So I think that is one of the most important skills creatives must, learn and know how to navigate. So what is something you've seen talented creatives do that quietly hurts their career?
One thing I've seen creatives do that hurt their career is, I would say two things. One, focusing more on the money part of it without the rest of the brand. Now, the money is important, but imagine disrespecting a client because of the money. In terms of, let me use this example to make it clearer. Yes, we know our value, but we are also in a society with an economy that is largely poor. Now, it means you're charging something worth, say, $1,000. Doesn't mean everybody can afford that. It doesn't mean that they do not know your value. It's they know your value, they just cannot afford it. And we do this thing where, if you can't afford it, I'm not your target audience. You are their target photographer. You're just not, they can't afford you. I would advise to not, we do this when we tell clients, it's an investment. But you kind of have to justify why I'm paying millions for certain images, not necessarily because other people have paid you. It's hard to, what's the word? Hard to bring it down for the client. Somebody said something where, if you can ask your client, apart from the money, is there any other reason why you won't hire me? When you realize it's the money, then you can figure out, okay, what compromises can you make? I've been in places where I've had to tell the client, see, I have somebody else that works with me that can give you the same quality but cheaper. And you'll be like, you're ruining your business. No, the person knows now that I really want to shoot to this person, but if you can refer me to somebody that I will not lose my money because I can't afford it at next time. When I can afford it, I'll call him. And it always happens. I might lose that smaller money because they genuinely didn't have the money. Or even if they had, it wasn't for photography at that time, but they'll always call me back when they have the bigger money. So imagine saying, I once know a photographer where he does this thing, and I told him about it, where when you DM him, he looks at your page. If he perceives that you cannot afford him, he not reply your DM. Like, real story. Like, true story. Like, if he sees your Instagram, like, this person can't afford me, he doesn't reply your message. Like, he leaves you in request. And I'm like, how do you do that?
Or could that be from experience too, that maybe he has had too many inquiries over the years and people eventually still say, I can't afford you. And it was just like, let me save you the stress. Let me go through your page and...
No, that can be valid, but because we run a business, it's like saying I'm a business person, my phone is on DND.
Oh.
Like, I know people that you hear they don't pick calls with numbers they don't know. Then how do you get clients?
You can't really judge clients by their... In fact, you'll be surprised that people that have paid me, millions and stuff, they are not the ones with the most followers. And it's not just by that. You can't just... Let's people actually give people a chance, let them talk, let them express. Then it might not even be them. They might be reaching out for someone else.
Very true.
They might be working for somebody. Like, I've met people that some of my brand deals, it was not like all those brands that will reach out sometimes directly to you. It might be their staff that they will send to reach out to you if you're interested before they now send the email.
Exactly.
Sometimes it will be that same staff that will use the company's account to now send you email, So imagine looking at the person, who is this? What do you mean?
So that's why I say it's one of the things that we as creatives can do and lose out, because we don't treat people with respect or with a sense of importance. We try to weigh different people. I always say this thing: quality of service, I'll give somebody that is paying 100,000. The same quality of service, I'll give somebody that is paying 1 million. Not because the money is not more valuable, but because the service should be the same. Because you're offering a service. The thing is, you're offering a piece of you. You're offering yourself to the person. You cannot have multiple sides of yourself. Because it means you don't have integrity. It means you are two-faced or three-faced or multi-faced. It means this person can be able to say, I had a good service, the same way this person can say, I have a good service. Yes, of course, there's always a stereotype that people that pay less will give you more trouble, and people that pay more. But experience it is part of the work. It's part of why you're in business. Your business will not always be smooth. Once you see all of those graph scales, it is going to be like that. In fact, if it's too smooth, you're doing something wrong. Something
fascinated me about your portfolio. You are photograph head of states, international ambassadors, Mercedes, Glow, you've done weddings, architecture, you've done fashion, you've done food. But I visited your Instagram without knowing you. I probably wouldn't know any of that if I visited your Instagram. The question is now, why don't you post most of your commercial works?
For most of my commercial work, a lot of them comes with contracts. First of all, or some of them do come with contracts where the clients, they buy the licenses for the images, which is fine by me. And I'm not trying to be overbooked. I want to be I want to be booked, but not necessarily overbooked. I want to be booked in such a way I can deliver properly. And since a lot of my clients also come with referrals, Instagram, yeah, it always will. It's still back to the statement, leaving money on the table. But some money on the table, I will share it to other people. I let other people have that money. And so, but what I do for clients, because I still get messages, emails, do you do so and so? So I have curated portfolios I send on request. Or do you do documentary work? Oh yes, I have a documentary portfolio. I will rather send you a link or send you a PDF where you see the work. Because people ask me, you have Instagram pages now, put them. I'm like, I will have multiple Instagram pages for multiple kind of work. If I start to photograph potatoes tomorrow, I will have a page for potatoes.
So you don't confuse you.
So you don't, exactly. It's just annoying, so just rowdy if you have one page that has weddings, has portraits, has fashion, has food, then maybe you see one product there. It's just, it doesn't show that you are doing something. You look like a blog.
Yeah.
Instead of a brand.
So you just chose your favorites, which is portraits.
Portraits. So like, okay, this is what I want to be known for. And that works. I mean, I've had weddings. In fact, a couple of the weddings I've shot recently, I was just hired to shoot the portraits. Then they hire some other photographer to cover the event. I just go shoot the portrait of the groom, portrait of the bride, and I go. In fact, the last two I did, I came as a guest. They gave me, I had an invitation as a guest, and they hired me to shoot their portraits. Then after I was done, I sat on the table and I was served, and the other people were snapping me because that's what I've been known for. I mean, they know me as a portrait photographer. They've seen other weddings I've shot, but they're like, I like your portraits. And we all know that in most weddings, clients are more concerned for the portraits.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I will shoot your portraits. In fact, I usually, should I say I threaten now? I usually say, I'm going to stop shooting weddings. But what I mean is I want to just focus more on shooting the portraits, which is better. It's more profitable. It's easier. You're not going to be rounding.
Focused.
It's not focused. You're not trying to tell a bunch of people to arrange them themselves. And, you're not being harassed by uncles and aunties. It's a more calm, serene, controlled environment. And I like controlled environments. So I'm like, it works better for me. But yes, I do have portfolio for every other thing on request. I have an extensive food portfolio. I have portfolio on furniture and architecture. I have portfolio on fashion. I have a lot of. There was a time people just called me a fashion photographer at a point because I was getting too many fashion clients.
Oh. So how do you now decide what is for Instagram and what is not for Instagram?
What I've learned also, especially when I didn't have time to do personal projects, was when I shoot, like, say, a fashion client, I would try to make sure I get something from there for myself. I'll do like a personal outtake. You can come to my page and see, you can't even tell which image there came from a fashion shoot, like from a lookbook, because I would change the lighting and like, let me get a headshot of you. Oh, I like this headpiece. Okay, I'm going to get a portrait for myself from this shoot that the client won't even get. I'm like, I'll tell the client, okay, we're done with your work, but okay, good. I want to take something for myself. And I get an image there for myself. So that's how I know. And then there are images I take that I just keep to practice with. Maybe I want to learn a new color grading technique or a new retouching technique. I just take those to practice. Or I take those for archiving. Or maybe there's an image that's going to influence something else. Or maybe I want to frame it or I want to sell it. So, and of course, I'm going to sell an image. It will be on Instagram because I kind of want my work to be exclusive enough. You're buying my work, especially if you're buying a piece that's supposed to be an exclusive piece, you should be the only one to have it.
Yes.
And for clients, also one of the reasons I don't post a lot of my clients' work is, especially for certain kinds of portraits, somebody pays you plenty money so that they can have an exclusive image of you that they want on their house. I feel a type of way with your family picture on my Instagram page that's also going to be framed in your house. Because it takes away that exclusivity of your image. The same way you're not going to a roadside studio, you're coming to a private studio where it's just you and it's your session. You should have that privacy of that image only in your house. So that's how I see, or that's how I approach.
That's also respecting
Exactly. So that way, I mean, back in the day though, I used to have clients, when I want to shoot their weddings, they ask me, hope it will be on Bella in Niger. Like it's their requirement. They want their picture too. I'm like, sure. So for those kind of clients, yes, in fact, they'll be the one to disturb you to post. If you've seen gigs where the photographer and the client are collaborating to post it, those ones are obviously there. But the kind of clients I have, or the kind of clients I've been fortunate to get, They are more conservative. They are more discreet. And I figured I might as well just, my portfolio that I push out should be my own personal work instead. Yes, I might have something that will come from a client's work, but it should still show my style. It means if, for example, my style is, say, dramatic portraits and I'm shooting something for a client that is high key, if I like that set and I want to get something for myself, I'll do something that still shows it's my style. So you will still see me in that work, because it's easy to want to push your style on the clients. And as photographers, we have that thing where we call pride, where we get upset when they take maybe one photographer's work to bring to you, they want this. Because sometimes I get it, but we forget that sometimes a client just wants a photographer and you are good, so shoot them. But you want them to want you. But you're also a photographer. So you forget that sometimes we want to be artists so much that we forget that we're doing art. Because sometimes you want them to buy your art. So they want to buy art, but now you are selling you and you are forgetting to sell your art. So when you sell yourself, sell yourself. I've had a lot of clients. In fact, I've had people that come to my personal page and say they like pictures I take of myself and they want that. So that is, yes, they like that one. And then I have clients that they bring a picture somewhere, maybe from Instagram, from Pinterest. Oh, I want to recreate this. I'm like, awesome. Remember, we're a service provider. You have to do what they want. Yes, we want to get to a point where, let's say you are shooting a kind of color and it is that color they want. We'll get there. Everybody will get there eventually. But in the end, some people just want a photographer. It's not that deep. Just provide the service.
Yeah.
Just provide the service.
Interesting. You see, there's a saying that people don't buy what you do. They buy what you're known for.
Yes.
And I think you've been very intentional about becoming known for something. How does a creative, in your opinion, find their voice without forcing it? Because you talked about, you're not trying to force it, but in all of that chaos of, attending to your clients, giving them what they want, how do you used to find your own voice without forcing it on your clients?
Yeah. For me, I start with practicing. You know how we say this thing where, like for contracts, for example, is the more experience you get, you learn a new thing to add to your contract. I was speaking with somebody today and he shot a fashion editorial. And then he realized he could take out the people in the picture, and it will now be like this invisible mannequin. And and he reached out to me like, I can do this as a service. I'm like, yeah, this looks really good. You can actually sell it as an add-on. So maybe for your next job, you can also tell the client, I can shoot your lookbook, but I can also give you this for an extra price. And that is by practicing. And literally, it was just today he figured it out. I'm like, oh, I can do that. So you can imagine practicing a new thing. You can, learn this new stuff, and then you pitch it for you, test the waters. I did not know I could insist on my clients maybe framing their portraits. It's just by knowing, what is an incentive? How would it appeal to this person?
Yes.
I remember then when photographers used to always do, I'm going to photograph you, then you're going to get 5 pictures, and then if you want any more picture, extra 10K, extra 20K. I'm like, I won't be doing that thing, because I feel like my rates are they're not low. So I just tell my clients, I'm going to give you the best images from the session. It could be 5 images, it could be 20 images, but you're not going to pay any extra fee. They're like, how? Why? The last photographer gave me 3P pictures and you gave me 10. I'm like, because I like the 10P pictures and you should have them. That way they see value. They see I'm giving them more value than what they're paying for. And then that's how I get referrals. Do I tell them, see, on your contract, there's 5 pictures there, but you got 15. You're wondering why? I'm like, because I gave you more value. So they see the value. And I've learned from there. So it's learning every day a new way to expand your brand without losing. Because editing extra 2 pictures won't kill you. And the clients will be happy for it. And they get to see the value. A lot of times, I tell a client, when they want to bargain, I'm like, see, this is the best price of the package you're getting. And this is why. If I'm going to, then I do this thing where I tell clients, I give discounts on returning clients.
Interesting.
So when they reach out to me the first time, I know you want a discount, but I give discount on returning clients. So they want to return. And I tell them, see, have this experience first. You would come back. In fact, when you come back, I've had clients come back and they don't want a discount. I've had a client pay an extra 150K because of the service. They're like, that your guy that did BTS, give him something. I've had clients where they come and share cash. I'm fortunate to have those kind of clients where they like the branding. And I make sure, like when I shoot now, I don't shoot alone. I always have an assistant. I have somebody doing BTS for me. Most of my portraits, you get a portrait, you get a free reel. And it's because of something I've learned. Clients for pictures would react more if it's a video. So if they'll dance probably, because I learned it from when clients will come with their friends. And when you're trying to post them, they're very stiff. But when their clients say, do this for Snapchat, you sit there and giving you, I'm like, hey, you can do that. How about I have a video and you're doing that? And then when you do that, I'm like, hold that pose for you. I now take a picture. So I added that as an add-on, as a free add-on. So you're going to learn a lot of things along the way, but just learn what is important or learn as much as you want and then use what is important.
There are so many creatives that struggle now. They know how to create, but they don't know how to build a business. Why would you say is so? Why would you say a lot of creatives are struggling? Talented creatives are struggling financially.
So for financially, and I'm going to use this, I'm going to use my, should I say upbringing now? Upbringing in photography.
Yeah.
Upbringing is different now. Yes, my journey, that's the word. So it's different now. How we started back then is different from now because then it was harder. Then you see somebody that had been in photography, then we will always see guys that we say they've been in photography for 20 years and we're seeing their work. And then we started, when just in the digital age, yes, we had film experience, but it wasn't there because digital was already around. So we're just, okay, we will know film, but we prefer the digital. But then nowadays it's easier. But the difference then now is then there were people that we could attach ourselves to. Almost every big photographer now was somebody's assistant someday.
Yes.
But the difference between then and now is most people now do not want to work under somebody. They do not want to carry lights. You're a big boy now. I remember
I have an FX3, you have an FX3. Why should I
Exactly.
carry lights for you? Because I'm learning under you. Am I a slave?
And that's the problem. Most people, like I said, a lot of us back then have at least worked for somebody, have assisted, had carried lights, had interned, had done some sort of service under somebody. I used to get emails, like people send proper documented email, DMs, can I follow you for your shoots? And I tell them, I would like to, but I already have a team of people following me for shoot. I don't want to take a crowd to a client's house. But what I do is when I have like maybe personal work, you can come around. Or if you have something you think I would be interested in, invite me. I will come and advise. It happens like that. And I tell people, to grow as a creative, to grow as a photographer, if I was starting from scratch now, that's what I would do. I will meet people respectfully that are heading in the direction that I want to head and ask them to intern. You will get plenty no's. It's not like the first person will say, oh, yeah, yes, come and join my team. Some will even tell you pay. If you need to pay, if you find value in that person, you need to pay. Like, can I pay to be your intern? Like, I know it's weird. It sounds crazy.
But you're learning. Being an intern, you are actually learning.
You'll be surprised.
Yeah.
We've seen internships.
Right now,
Yeah.
if I have mentors and role model people I look up to in the industry, that if they tell me to pay 500,000 to come intern for a month, I will look for that money and pay. Because I know what I'm going to get.
Exactly.
I mean, that is mentorship. Okay, we can call it, they call it mentorship. Like people actually pay for mentorship to do what? Why do you pay for mentorship? Some people's mentorship, you just come, tell you one or two. But that experience is whatever you don't know it.
True. So I think that's what is stopping a lot of people now from growing, or at least growing in the rate that they should grow. One is having a community. Yes, unfortunately, we do this thing where people will tell you, you need to grow people in your level, which is true.
Yeah.
But sometimes if people in your level are not growing, all of you will not be growing.
Yes.
So sometimes you do need somebody above your level, which will help to pull you out. At least if not to pull you out directly, to help open your eyes to other opportunities. So that's where community is. Not necessarily a community of just your peers. Please work with your peers. But if you can find somebody above your peer that can be more of a mentor, everybody needs a mentor. Either somebody you can physically reach or somebody you look up to that inspires you to research for yourself.
Yeah.
But it's just growth. And I'm going to say the second thing that, I hope that people could get cancelled. I could get cancelled for saying it, which is compare. Now, people say don't compare yourself with other people. But how do you know if you're growing if you cannot compare yourself with somebody else? Especially if you see yourself, let's say people start at the same time or around the same period. People are doing similar work. In fact, people have the same skill, but that person's business is profiting. Person is creating a brand, person is building, but you're still the same place. But you're telling yourself, let's not compare. You're not comparing for competition. You're comparing to mirror yourself. So that if you need to see what the person is doing right, that you're doing wrong. Because we see comparison as a bad thing. Don't compare yourself with others. But you kind of need to, if you're looking only at yourself. I remember one time where a photographer was doing this thing where they will not follow anybody. They're following only themselves. Because, I only want to be seeing my work. But then if nobody can tell you what you're doing is wrong, then you will be stagnant. You'll be the superstar in your area, in your streets.
In your mind, sometimes.
Your mind, especially, in our minds first now, then your streets. And you have plenty yes men around you. But if you don't compare your growth to other growths, not even the point of being jealous of them. It's not even about them. It's about you. The comparison brings like a mirror to you to see what you're doing wrong or what you can improve on based off on what somebody else is doing. Especially if you're in the same niche. Imagine you're both doing portraits. Or you're both doing like product photography, but somehow the other person gets clients every other week, but you get like maybe once in 2 months. There's something that person doing. Maybe the person is marketing. Maybe the person is buying ads. Maybe the person is doing something that you're not doing, but you kind of have to compare to know. So I feel create a community or join a community. You'll be surprised how much DMing somebody to disturb them would allow them to say, oh yeah, come. Even if it's that, oh yeah, come, stop disturbing me, come. Like you'll get plenty no. But if you're insistent, if you're confident to say, okay, I want to follow this person. I've had somebody DM me all the way from Taraba and I get messages like, I want to come to Abuja and do my NYC just so I can learn under you. Like, I want to come and do this. I'm like, see, I'm going to be responsible for you. I don't have that energy. Like, I was like, can I refer you? Where are you? Where else can you do NYC? Let me find somebody in your town.
Yes.
I have to now do that. Like, if not, the person will keep messaging me, and you'll be surprised how being insistent can take you far.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're afraid of that no. So we try not to disturb. But it's in the creative world, though. And in the creative world, you have to be a little aggressive is not the word, but that's what I can use. But let me use passionate.
Yeah.
You have to believe in yourself so much that, or believe in where you're headed so much that you would work for it. Work for it means being humble enough to ask somebody for help. Oh, please, I like the way you color grade. I'm lost and YouTube is not helping me. Can I come with you? Can you just show me how you do it? If the person wants to say you should pay, if you can't afford it, say I can't afford it. What can I do? Can I serve and maybe pay and serve?
Exchange your value. You have to give something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You'll be surprised that somebody will see how genuine your need is and say, oh yeah, come. But it's doing that. First, create or join a community. You'll be surprised how if you're creating a community among your peers, there's something this person knows, By the time you join your knowledge, you guys will know more than one person that you thought knew everything. And then compare. Like have a sit down with yourself, look at other people's work, or especially people you're headed towards, and people in your niche, in your level that you seem to be, they seem to be flourishing, and figure out what you're doing wrong and what you should do right.
Beautiful. Let's talk about legacy. I believe careers are not just built in a day; they are built in, like, let's say, a decade or more.
Yeah.
And I want to just ask you this question. I like to end these conversations like this. If you lost everything today, your camera, God forbid, your Instagram, your clients, what knowledge would allow you to rebuild?
If I lost everything, if I lost my Instagram, I won't know nothing. Life will go on. If I lost my camera and that thing, I'll probably cry. But the knowledge that would help me rebuild again is knowing that people are important. And I'm in a business that delivers to people. I know that if I'm going to start again, all I need is people.
Oh, yeah.
We say this thing where we all say it's for fun, but we don't know it's true. And it's where they say rich people don't spend money. They spend reputation. They spend, their currency is not cash. Their currency is their words. You see somebody is buying something on credit because they already have that currency as them. You meet a rich person, you hardly meet a rich person that will give you cash, but they can give you their word. They say, okay, go and meet this person.
Yeah.
So if you understand that you need more people than resources, I've gone for a shoot where the client had a better camera than me, but the client bought the camera for travel. Or when I bought it when I went to Paris, to take pictures, you bought an A7 what? For vlogging. And it's gathering dust. I have one Sony like that. You think it's one point and shoot it, they bring it. Why do you have that? I remember when I was in a 6D. Client had a Mark IV. Mark IV just came out. Mark IV came out like a month ago. Why do you have a Mark IV? He said, well, I'm an architect. And so, it is
You have
gathering
a
dust.
flagship photography camera with you.
And I was shooting my 6D with my, and you have a Mark IV. Why? He just bought it. He said, he likes buildings. He travels to Venice and, architecture. He just asked what camera is good for, and they gave him and he bought. I'm like, guess what? He let me use his camera.
Oh.
He's like, oh, you like this? It's a really good camera. I'm like, yes, that's better. He's like, do you want? I'm like, yes. He let me use his camera. And we're cool now. And it's just the relationship. It's understanding our people. You'll be surprised how many times you can literally walk up to somebody, oh, I'm a photographer. Can I photograph you? And before they start to hesitate, like, don't worry, I'm not charging you. I want you to see my work. Oh, I don't need a photograph. You will like it. You will love it. You'll be surprised how you will build relationship. And I tell people, you cannot be an introvert per se when you're doing work that involves people, when you're a service provider.
Yeah.
You can be a reserved person. You can be a private person. Like for me, for example, nobody knows my life per se. They just know the public figure person and my work, which makes sense, which I like, which I'm very comfortable with.
Yeah.
But you need to be able to create communities in such a way that you're not trying to expose yourself, or they don't need to know your house. They don't need to know how many children your mother has, but they just need to know you as a person. So if you can create a community, be a human being with other people. You want to meet somebody, you want to create a business, ask about their family. How's your family? Like, how many times will you reach out to somebody and, greet them? Like, oh, you're doing good. Happy Sunday. Talk about the weather. This economy is doing all of us. So, like, create conversations away from, I want to collect your money. Let me shoot you. By the time you realize you've created relationships, then, of course, that's where you introduce yourself. So by the time you realize somebody wants a photographer and they will hear it. That my client I said is one of my best friends now. She has audacity where she can be in a restaurant and people are talking about an event and she just made it. Do you need a photographer? I have a photographer. Like she does it randomly. And I used to be like, why are you doing this thing? But that's how much we have a relationship, so much that she would get me a job from random strangers. Wow. And it's just because of you built
and
humanity.
People love when you refer people to people, they feel like for you to refer this person and for you to talk good about this person, that means the person is really good at what they do. I think people love it, prefer when somebody refer an artisan, an artist, a creative to them, because they feel like for somebody to refer this person, that means that person has really, really treated them well and delivered a good job. When I invited you to the show, I know we're going to talk about all of this, but I think I underrated the depth we are going to get into. And I really appreciate that you granted the, invitation and you were able, because I feel like this is a class. It's more than a podcast. It's a class. And that is the point of Depth of Youth podcast. We bring people that have depth, creatives that have depth in their field. And, to share, we have a lot of struggling people out there. You see a lot of people focus on the minor. They don't know why. They feel like, I'm very good at what I do. I'm a good photographer. I'm a good videographer. But how come I'm not making money? People just focus on being good at the job and they forget every other thing. They forget about the character. They forget about the connection. Forgetting that people we are going to be dealing with, they are actual people, they are human beings. So you need to be human enough for other humans to want to be around you. And if people want to be around you, definitely they want to patronize you. But if they don't want to be around you, if they are not comfortable being around you, then they will not patronize you. So thank you for everything you've shared. And for everybody watching this podcast, I believe by this time if you're still watching to this point, thank you very much for tuning to Depth of It podcast episode 12. And I want you to share this episode with creatives or artists or anybody in business that would need this, because I don't think this episode is just for creatives. It's for everybody that does business, everybody that works for people. And we'll catch you in the next episode.